All right. So unfortunately, Devon Franklin has officially filed for divorce from Meagan Good. And I want to tackle a couple of the narratives from God's perspective, because there's a lot of narratives out there, and I think that they're all unhealthy, especially because we don't know what happened in their marriage. But I specifically want to tackle this narrative of him not allowing her to be her authentic self, and they pushed this conditional celibacy into our culture, which is very, very unhealthy, and it's causing women a lot more heartache than it is helping them. All right, so right here on the shade room, you see that they officially filed for divorce, and there's a comment over here that I don't want to have this young lady's personal information out there too much, but she says that this couple caused me to go celibate for 1 year. Why? Because it's this idea of conditional celibacy. So because if I do what they did, I'm going to get what they had, like it's some kind of formula or a recipe. Because they also have this book out, which is where she got it from. This book, The Wait. It is a powerful practice to find the love of your life and the life you love. But if this lifestyle is not something that Meagan is really down for, is it him forcing her to not be her authentic self, or is it her signing up for something for the wrong reasons? Because a lot of times what we see is women are not choosing these men because they've had a change of heart, but more because of the heartache that they have endured. So they don't want this man of God because God has changed the way that they view the world, but because they don't want to deal with the Pookies and the Ray Rays. They don't want to be pumped and up to hit it and quit it anymore. They want someone that they think that this good guy over here, they know that there's a high chance of marriage, that he's going to deal with a lot more nonsense, because of his values, even though their values may not match. And I thought about this recently because of the show Harlem that she's acting in. And I don't want to be hypocritical and say, well, because she's a Christian actor, she shouldn't take this role, because there's other Christian actors and actresses that take certain roles that do not portray Christian values. But I do think that this is pushing a narrative, and stick with me to the end of this so that you can hear what I'm talking about. So listen to the narrative that this show pushes.
In Harlem, being a woman in total control of her life and love.
You know, I saw you the other night.
Really? That's weird. It's not always easy.
Guys, I'm seriously fine.
Girl, you know we don't believe you, right?
Rainbow sprinkles in your hair.
I'm about work, I'm about career, and tomorrow I'm gonna introduce myself to the new department head and make her fall in love with me.
Dr. Pruitt, I'm such a fan of your work.
All right, so I want you to hear what she said. She said that she's in charge of her life. She's in charge of her love. She's about work. She is about career. None of those are necessarily Christian values, because you're not in charge of your life, and you're definitely not in charge of your love life. And he was even trying to support her in this. He was attempting to support her in this with his Instagram post a few weeks ago. Now, I want you to hear what he said, because this is going to make a clear point for what I'm trying to explain. He says, y'all not ready for this. I'm so proud of my love, Meagan Good. She's one of the most talented actors on the planet, and she's funnier than many of you may know. Now, look at this part down here. This will be your new favorite show. Sex in the City has nothing on Harlem. All right? Sex in the City has nothing on Harlem. So this show is a version of Sex in the City. And that is the type of narrative that it is pushing, right? It's pushing independence, it's pushing career. It's not pushing what we would call Christian values. And I'm not someone that says that a Christian woman should not have her own career, that a Christian woman should not have her own things that she is excited about and going after. But we're talking about the values here now, okay? So look here in Titus 2, Titus chapter 2, so we can talk about what Christian values are. It says, the aged women likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things, that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, that's pure, or modest, keepers at home, good, obedient to their husbands, which just means the word submissive, or submission, meaning under his mission, under his ordination, what God has called him to do, you two are in a line in accomplishing that. That's what submission means. That the word of God be not blasphemed. Now, this is the most important part. The reason that the aged women, and I would claim that she is old enough to be uh, um, teaching the younger generation. She is old enough to have an influence on the younger generation. There we go. That they're looking to her for how to live their lives. And the purpose is to teach them what God's way of thinking is. This is who women are. This is who women were created to be. They are not created to be sleeping around. They are not created to live independent lives, right? Whereas we do what we want. I'm in charge of my life. I'm in charge of my love. You're not. Your body was created for the Lord. And that I think is a major problem because we a lot of times we get this idea of, like I said, they're turning to these men not because their heart has said, okay, this is who God created me to be. Now I'm going to wait. I'm not going to give myself to random men who are not making this commitment. That's not the reason that they're changing. They're tired of the heartache. They're tired of the pain. So therefore, they're looking for a formula in order to get wifed up or to get a good man. But it's not about a formula. It's about this is who God created you to be. And I made a video about this over on my TikTok, is that then if they don't get what they wanted, because their whole purpose in doing it was to try to manipulate God. Look, God, look at how good I'm doing. You owe me a good man. And then if they don't get it, they act out in more sexual immorality because it was never about a heart change. It was just about getting from God what they wanted to get. Right? So we see right over here in 1 Corinthians 6 that it says, do you not know that your bodies are members of Christ? Shall they not take the members of Christ and join them with a harlot? Here it's specifically talking about men, but should you take, if you're a woman, should you take your body, which is a member of Christ, and join them to a random man who doesn't care about you? Or it says here, what, do you not know that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost, which is in you, which you have of God, and you are not your own? So you're not your own. You don't belong to yourself. It says you are bought with a price. Therefore, glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are both God's. So you are not, I repeat, you are not, if you're a Christian woman or man, in charge of your own body. You are not in charge of your own life. You are not in charge of your own love. You have signed up to say, I believe that God's way is the right way. I believe that this is who God created us to be. And it's not to limit your fun. It's saying you genuinely believe that this is the right way. So therefore, to say I want to be independent, to say I want to show off my body, and to let culture try to conform you to its standards, and if that is your authentic self, then you should not try to turn to a man of God just so that you can get the good man, if that's not where your heart is at, because a house divided cannot stand. Right? A house divided cannot stand. So now you're with this man because you wanted, you're tired of these knuckleheads over here. But at the same time, your heart is not lined up with God's heart. if this man is a true man of God. Now, in the case of Meagan Good and Devon Franklin, we don't know this man. We don't know what goes on in their household. I'm not saying that he is perfect or that he doesn't have a major part to play in why they're getting a divorce. What I'm saying is, number one, he's supporting her even in her nonsense. Okay, you to call yourself an ordained preacher at the same time talk about how this is going to be the like the black version or comparative to Sex in the City, and pushing that type of narrative onto our culture and our younger generation, that is directly contradictory to this book that you just put out, The Wait, right? How to find the love of your life and the life that you love. That is directly contradictory. And I see a lot of times um, our young women are not turning to these good guys because they really say, man, Lord, thank you for showing me that the way that I'm living is not correct. Thank you for showing me that the way I'm using my body is not correct. Thank you for showing me that the aspirations that I had were not your aspirations for my life, but the aspirations that this world has put on my life. I want to line up with you. So now celibacy has nothing to do with getting a man. Celibacy has to do with this is who God created me to be. And then all the other values line up. And then when the man comes, because he sees the genuine heart posture of this woman of God, that now they're in line. It's not just, I got my man, I was celibate so I can get my man. It's not about that. All right. So I wanted to use this to bring that up. Their personal business is really none of my business, but I thought it was a good opportunity because I don't want to see my sisters and the younger generation get caught up in that nonsense, and then rebel on God because they don't get what they want. Because their manipulation tactic, they're using him, their recipe didn't work out the way that they thought it should. So if you guys want more, I appreciate if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button and then going ahead and subscribing to the channel, and I will bring you more. I love you, and I'll see you next time.